Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and it's been 5 months since I've done the Transcended Character tier list. So we're gonna jump right in and do another tier list because since then, buddy, we've gotten a ton of new Transcended characters, which are down there, and Silk got a new uniform. So she goes all the way from the Yikes tier at the bottom, all the way up. We got big bazingas now, so we are gonna take advantage of them. And unlike tier 3s, I gotta say, Transcended characters have been sort of on this steady, slow but steady upswing and slope up. And newer Transcended characters are just straight up pound for pound better than older Transcended characters. So yeah, we may be getting Thena and maybe Gilgamesh or someone else in the update in whatever, a week or so. We should be getting sneak peeks very soon, but I'm not gonna wait for that to make this video. I want to do this right here, right now. So first things first, before we start ranking these new characters, well, maybe we'll do it in between, but we need to make space, right? Because this is really not where the meta is nowadays. And for me to look you in the face and tell you that Moon Knight and Gambit are godly, that's not gonna fly, sorry. All you Moon Knight and Gambit fans out there, you can come for me in the comments. These are really good characters, but they're just not going to cut the cheese. They're just not gonna be able to keep up. Moon Knight doesn't keep up with Black Dwarf, so to speak, and sort of that just continues to cascade itself across. So we're gonna be having to make some adjustments. Basically, for example, in the useful tier, no one is going to transcend Dr. Octopus anymore. There's just no way this is happening. No one's gonna be transcending Red Guardian or Amadeus Cho. It's just at the point right now where these characters just, there's no, like, these are last year's Transcended characters. They cannot compete with this year's. They don't have the damage. They don't have any sort of PvP usability. They don't bring a very good leader. Like, Red Guardian's leadership is okay, but no one's using it, right? At least Spider-Woman, she's got a leadership for Silk, which actually makes a lot of sense, right? So if they don't have any value in PvE and they don't have any value in PvP, then that's basically going to be it for them. We're actually gonna move Jessica Jones, not Jessica Drew. We're actually gonna move Jessica Jones up, but yeah. Similarly, no one's going to be transcending Morbius for the same reasons that I just explained, and probably very few people are going to be transcending Red Skull. He has a little bit more value than the other 4 guys that I just moved down because of his PvP abilities, but yeah, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here with this. Similarly with Spider-Gwen, she's okay, again, but it's just damage. She's not going to bring anything else to the table. So she's just going to have to sit there. And then from there, we're just going to have to make some other adjustments as I see fit. Like, I think this definitely needs to happen. I do think that... Oh, there's a lot of things that need to happen here. Okay, I'm gonna do them, and then I'll try to explain them later, because I can see them in my head. But, like, at this point, here's the thing with Mystique. At this point, this is where she belongs. I'm not even lying. And I'm not saying this from my point of view. It's just that there are way better speed Transcended characters, and there's even better speed Transcended villains, and straight up just Transcended villains. Bullseye is hanging on by a thread, honestly, and honestly, most players are not going to be transcending Iron Fist at this point. I know he's a self-buffing leadership, which is nice, but this is honestly where he belongs. Valkyrie stays there for her support. I honestly think that Medusa is either here, or honestly Medusa is here as well. That kind of actually, that looks nice. That looks like it makes sense to me. Honestly, I gotta do this, guys. Moon Knight fans, yeah, come at me. The reason why Beta Ray Bill stays here on the flip side is because he's still the one-shot king, right? Even a terrible account with very average cards and no CTPs, they can take a double lightning damage proc, and by gosh darn it, they can take a not a moonstone, a weapon hex, and make a one-shot dream come true with my boy Beta Ray Bill. So this is where I think it properly shakes out. That makes more sense. This is where I think it properly shakes out at this point. This looks good to me based on the current meta. Again, we may be able to do a few more tweaks here and there, but yeah, honestly, I might even do that, because you basically just use Moon Knight for ABX at this point, and you do for Valkyrie as well. Anyways, I don't want to get too much into the weeds with it. I want to get into the new characters. So we're going to start off with some of the easy ones. We got Arrow, Wave, and Swordmaster transcended, and unfortunately for Arrow and Swordmaster, although I didn't transcend Arrow, they're basically immediately going into the useful tier. They're immediately going in and competing with characters like Mystique and Iron Fist, and that is not a compliment, right? Like, that's not a good thing. So unfortunately, that is where they land. Wave, on the other hand, I will say that Wave is very useful. Not only is she useful as a leadership, she's useful as a support for all heroes, and she's useful for ABX with Luna to help her on the burn season as a burn or paralyze, as a cancel or silence. One of those 3 seasons. So yeah, that's actually quite useful. This is more of like a useful tier than a straight up, you know, godly tier. Her damage is definitely the worst out of all of these characters here. So maybe I'll put her here. It's really about what she brings to the table as a support type. But I do want to highlight that because we are still very tight for supports, and her value as a support really matters. Also, you can make fun of me in the comments down below. You can comment, haha, White Fox, you noob, because I forgot that White Fox is a tier 3. I legitimately thought she was transcended. And when I say legitimately, I actually had to make this list twice. I made it the first time and it failed, like it corrupted or whatever, and the website refreshed the page, and so I had to select all the icons again. So I actually selected her twice, thinking straight up that she's a transcended character. Yeah, so my bad. All right, then we have America Chavez, pretty much the same thing here. The only difference for America Chavez is she has a leadership. She's a pretty good leadership, but again, that really doesn't make her any better. When you do compare America Chavez to some of the other newer transcended characters, you see why someone like Spectrum is better. Spectrum has straight up a better leadership than America Chavez, and Spectrum is a whole lot better in PvE, and then a whole lot better in PvP. Speaking of being better in PvE, we have Quasar, another great character. Again, just completely outpacing the damage on earlier transcended characters, just pound for pound. Nothing real special about Quasar compared to Iron Fist. He even has a self-buffing 60% leadership, but you put them both with the CTP of energy, and Quasar just says bye-bye birdie to my boy Danny Rand, unfortunately. So that's kind of how it shakes out here. Then we have Rescue and Hulkbuster. Hulkbuster is kind of tough. Honestly, I think he deserves to be here. His PvP value was definitely overhyped. I definitely was caught up in that hype a little bit, and his ability to like counter, but not really, Sentry was overblown in my opinion. And as good as his buffs are, he has a ton of support buffs. Like, it's really cool that he gives Iron Man 105% attack, don't get me wrong, and 30% or 40% HP, but there's just not enough good machine types. I don't know what to tell you guys. They should have made Dr. Doom a machine type. They didn't. We just don't have any, you know, maybe when Sentinel gets his tier 3, maybe when Omega Red comes to the game. I don't know, maybe if Galactus comes to the game and he's a machine type. I don't know, but at this point there's just not enough here. However, Rescue is really good. Now, Rescue's really good in an awkward kind of way. Again, her damage is not there to keep up with Gambit and him, right? But she's got a really good leadership for PvP and for timeline survival. She has got a crazy heal, and she has shifted the meta in some game modes, particularly Alliance Conquest and Alliance Tournament. So you got to give it up for Rescue. She is impacting the meta on a way, like in a game mode that few characters do. So I gotta, you know, justify that by putting her in her rightful place, which is in the top, you know, 25% of characters. It's kind of how it goes. And then we're left with a bunch of really strong female characters, and this is basically the new meta, guys. Wake up and drink the Java. I can't knock in my videos. If I knock, Bacon gets freaked out. Anyways, basically the majority of good transcendent characters are female. It's cool, and it is what it is. But yeah, so coming to dethrone Human Torch in the busted category is basically just a bunch of females coming to bust it up. So Silk comes to bust it up, in my opinion. She's very, very strong, and she's got a very easy rotation. She's just going to lose points here a little bit to Black Dwarf because he's got better healing, but she does have a better typing at this point. Speed types kind of beat out combat types at this point for most content. Elena, I know a lot of you guys think that I overvalue her, that I'm kind of a simp for Elena, but I still think she's very, very good. I would honestly put her here. Her damage is good enough to keep up with Human Torch in most PvE content, or lag behind just a little bit, and then she's got a lot more PvP value than most of these characters here, right? Basically only Luke Cage, Black Dwarf, and maybe these two are gonna be better than her for PvP. So yeah, you could honestly, I'm not gonna say she's better than Beta Ray Bill, but she's honestly not bad. She gets a lot of hate, she gets a lot of skepticism for no reason. And then we got Cersei. And I honestly think, as difficult as she is to play, I think Cersei's very, very good. I'm going to put her up here. I think she's a little bit better. She's better than Silk, though. I think the cumulative value of Cersei is better than Silk, yes. I'm not going to consider their cost, because that's kind of unfair, because Cersei's the cheapest in the game, right? So she would go right there. But you got to consider the fact that she's not only a main DPS, but she has a lot of support buffs for the Eternals. Now, the Eternals is a small group right now, but when you see where I put Makari, then you'll understand. Here's where Makari goes, guys. And honestly, I kind of think that she goes here. But just for the sake of how things are, I'm going to put her here right now. She's very, 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 very strong. She crushes it in World Boss content, World Boss Ultimate, World Boss Legend content. She crushes it in ABX. And she possibly crushes it in PvP. That's sort of TBD. But she seems to be not bad. So that level of consistency and that level of power to rival Luna Snow in one game mode and then eclipse Captain America Falcon in another game mode is worthy of very high praise. And so that's why I am putting Cersei here. If Makari was much worse, Cersei would be worse. Because Cersei can only buff herself, Makari, Icarus, and Hyperion for now. We're expecting Thena, we're expecting maybe one or two other Eternals, but that still makes her good because she gives the Eternals a lot. Damage, right? It's just like raw damage against villains, decreased damage against villains, and debuff. It's like a leadership and a support. It's two leaderships and a support bundled into one. Oh, and did I mention she's a good damage dealer herself, although not the most consistent. So yeah, this is basically what I think the Transcended character tier list looks like now. It's a little bit top heavy. You could argue that Silk should go down here. I think that would be honestly kind of fine, but I can see why she could go here. But basically, I could put her here just to argue that all of these characters here do have the potential to be good in PvP if you strictly build them for PvP, besides Moonstone. But like if you build her for PvP, Supergiant can clap, no doubt. With iframe ignoring stuff, she can clap. And Black Dwarf, I think he could be pretty good for PvP as well if you build him for that, but a little bit less so than Cersei. So you could maybe argue that something like this, especially now that Cersei has an artifact that allows her to revive. It's a little bit iffy, it's a little bit tricky, but yeah, the thing is though, combat types in general, you can see on these two tiers, there's only 2 combat types. And Luke Cage is only holding on because he's like the second best combat PvP character now. Wolverine's sort of taking over his position for that, so you might even say he moves down there. But yeah, combat types honestly have a hard time in Marvel Future Fight in general. And combat types are the biggest typing for Transcendence, so that's kind of a double pain, a double kick in the old family jewels. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. It won't hit you back, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.